Just about 9 minutes away from 7 o'clock. Good to have you with us here on eNCA. There's an urgent need to clear the mining backlog with regards to prospecting and mineral rights. So that's according to President Cyril Ramaphosa. He was speaking at the annual Mining Indaba taking place in Cape Town. The president is going on to say that government is committed to fulfilling its responsibilities and to removing all obstacles to the growth and prosperity of the mining industry. Some critics are saying this is simply lip service. It's a lot more complicated than that. Let's unpack some of the challenges and legalities faced by the mining sector and say good morning to Regulatory Lawyer Specialising in Environmental Law, Gillian Niven. Gillian, morning to you. And this sounds like it could get very, very complicated if you're speaking to someone like me, though. Just give me the crux of what the issue is when it comes to regulatory issues in the mining sector. Good morning.
Morning, and to all the viewers. So I think, the mining industry as a whole is not shy of having regulatory challenges. It's not something that's new, particularly from an environmental and an impact perspective. And what we are seeing now, though, is that the mines are having to consider, integrate, and account for ESG and sustainability-related matters in relation to their operations and in relation to those of the assets that they are looking at closing, looking at the liabilities. So there's almost this additional and I don't want to say burden, additional accounting consideration and management that needs to be overlaid from the traditional regulatory framework that they've been operating in for a number of years. And obviously this kind of, introduces new complexities, new challenges, but also many new opportunities.
Because there is some criticism coming out of the Mining Indaba, and as someone who specialises in environmental law, Gillian, you can give me your view on this. There is a belief from some critics that in order to mine effectively, efficiently, and to make as much money as possible, we have to not be as green as we should be. It's a case of we must choose what we want to be, either be environmentally savvy or we want to make money as a mining industry. Is that an unfair critic?
I think that's looking through the lens of the traditional model, and I think that the mining industry recognizes that we need to evolve beyond those traditional impact metrics. So it's not value at all cost. I think that there's also a recognition that it can't be carbon at all costs. So there is this interplay between E, environment, S, social, G, governance. And it's that interplay that the mining industry is still trying to get on top of and ahead of. And this is not something that is free from complexities when you're looking at environmental impacts, when you're looking at social impacts, and when you're looking at integrating these into governance, into the board. They're not necessarily always mutually aligned. And so it's that trying to ensure that kind of system integration, trying to enhance the value in each of those spaces, and ensure that there is critical engagement with the various stakeholders in each of those spaces, because it's not necessarily the same person and the same wants and interests.
There does seem to be a lot of red tape when it comes to anything regarding the mining sector, when it comes to who's working on the land, exploration strategies, more efficient systems, and obviously keeping an eye on the environment as well. Of all the red tape, Gillian, that you are aware of, what would be the one way to get our mining sector to become more desirable quickly in the short to medium term?
So I don't know that there's an easy answer to that. I think that having a robust regulatory framework is critical to ensuring that we manage the impact from the mining industry in a responsible, sustainable manner. I do think, though, that this robust engagement with the stakeholders, and the stakeholders kind of being all-encompassing from the regulators, the policy decision makers or informers, all the way down to the communities that we affect, the environmental NGOs that are have taken upon themselves to ensure that industry is accountable for particularly the environmental and climate change related impact. So I think it needs to be a robust and transparent discussion in terms of moving forward, and in terms of facilitating some of the challenges that the regulators have experienced in the past with water use licenses, with environmental authorizations, with appeals to those. So I think it needs to be robust, and I think it needs to have these different voices to make it sustainable.
When we talk about sustainability of these mines as well, when it comes to the amount of money that's going to have to be put in once this red tape is raised as well, Gillian, for someone who understands perhaps the mining sector more than I do as well, and the environmental aspects, is this a money issue when it comes to being part of this ESG? It's what's my understanding of ESG? It's the economic, the environmental, safety, etc. Does this cost mining companies a lot more money to be compliant?
So if we take a step back, ESG, environmental, social and governance, and these concepts individually are not new. So the mining industry has always had a statutory obligation from an environmental perspective. It has always had social accountability in terms of its license to operate, and it has always had a governance structure. But it's integrating these, and it's moving, as I said, beyond the traditional metrics that we used. And what we really want to see is mines going beyond this defensive kind of sustainability approach to being proactive. And what we say, kind of when you listen to futurists, when you listen to the statisticians, and I'm not one of those, but the opportunities in investing in this new economy and the job creation is there. It's, again, about how to enhance the value in each of those sectors and not pull one above the other. So it's ensuring that we are affording communities the kind of social opportunities, not only from a job creation, but in terms of access to electricity, to water, to
so it's the access to the basics as well. As you say, it's a combination. It's not one over the other. ESG, or what I was going for, was environment, social and governance factors. Gillian Niven, thank you very much indeed. I really appreciate your time. Complicated discussion, environmental law from Allen and Overy joining us this morning. We're back in just a moment.